Heyo, Jiggly-Gut here, and today I am going to be playing an old favourite of mine, A Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. So this one is the director's cut, which I haven't really played all that much of, actually. I'm not going to be talking all that much because currently I'm sick and I sound rubbish, but also because this game has a really good story and stellar voice acting. So this series is going to be taking you on a ride, more or less, I think. So sit down, enjoy yourselves, and let's get this show on the road. New game.
Paris, city of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too, but ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death. I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
Ah, the talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father, he never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat.
God, what? Monsieur Carchon! He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer.
So this part of the game is new to me. It wasn't in the original version that I played, at least. So it might take me a little bit to figure out what I need to do. So you'll have to bear with me. Let's start by taking a look at this bookshelf, I guess.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions. It contained rows of titles I didn't recognize. Programming the Z80 by Rodney Zacks. Ah, the romance, the drama, the great classic novels had a lot to learn.
The fuck was that? Is that it? It sounded like a damn goat.
It contained rows of titles I didn't recognize.
Okay, I think we're done with that.
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France. A bust of Pierre Carchon.
Okay, let's take a... What about this? Just the same shit?
Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room. A bust of Pierre Carchon.
Okay.
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
I didn't want to cut myself and leave blood on the glass. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to keep my DNA to myself. Not a good idea to touch the broken glass.
Okay, what about the door handle? Anything out on the landing?
The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him.
Okay, let's check the stiff.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him.
Really, Nico, you couldn't come up with a better name than that?
I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. I opened his eyes. Best to leave the crime scene as I found it.
Yeah, let's close his eyes.
I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow.
Lights on!
I opened his eyes.
Okay, yeah.
I closed his eyes.
Let's be serious about this. Oh, no. No, thank you. Okay, well, we got a bit of string here. Let's pick that up.
It was one of my hair clips.
Huh?
My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down.
Okay, so not string, hair clip. Actually looked more like a bobby pin, but it's neither here nor there. Let's see.
Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. Carchon had been shot.
No shit.
Carchon had been shot.
Okay, what's he got in his pocket?
In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now.
From the looks of things, that seems to be it on him. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, let's take a close look at these.
It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat.
Okay, I think that's all in here at the moment. Let's go back to where I assume we were talking to begin with.
The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them.
Got a door there.
A fine Baroque door. It would look great in my apartment. The door was locked. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune.
No, what do we got here?
A Louis XIV table with an antique cloth. Imelda had taste. But hey, with a husband that rich, taste is easy.
Got something here. Ah, that's the cloth.
A beautiful cloth had been draped over the table. It was embroidered with an unusual cross.
Okay, let's pick it up.
I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful. There was a tiny hole in the tabletop. Part of the inlay had been chipped away. Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole.
So let's try the hair clip.
Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff.
Oh, I love you, Nico. Okay, what do we got here?
A key had been hidden in a secret compartment. A modern key. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming.
Okay, let's take a closer look at this key.
A key. Maybe a safe key. The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol.
Okay. Let's shut that and take a look around. Oh, painting.
Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. It was a tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine.
Okay, well, if it ain't nailed down, pick it up.
Just the colour I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favourite colour.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
The tube of paint from Imelda's easel. French ultramarine.
Okay, we got a phone.
Even the telephone was antique. Never trust anyone who owns a phone like that.
Oh, so we're judging people on phones now, are we?
Imelda looked shocked, but still every bit as hostile.
Oh, well, let's see what she has to say.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
Would you like to see my favorite hair clip?
What a ridiculous question. Of course not.
Huh? Another time, I guess. So, her husband took secret boat trips. Did she really need to see the ticket?
Guess not. What about the cloth?
You're upset, madame. Please take this.
That is the lace cloth from the table. What can you be thinking?
Oh, it's a piece of shit. I guess not. What about some paint?
The last thing she needed to talk about was paint.
Okay, I guess I'll take your word for it, Nico. And I'm guessing she won't want to see the key that we plucked.
Imelda might not have been so cool with me poking around if I'd shown her the key I'd found.
Okay. Well, let's get down to brass tacks and talk about whatever leads we got up here.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Collard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
And what about Pierre?
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
What a bitch.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly I preferred it that way. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronise me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Oh, okay, so I can... You know what? Give this bitch a piece of your mind, Nico.
I certainly don't let it get in the way of a good story.
I admire your loyalty to your profession.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
So we can pick the good and the bad again. Let's go with the bad and see what happens.
Because you have no choice. The police will take weeks, in which time your own life may be in danger.
What?
Believe me, this killer has struck before, and he will strike again. Who is to know that you are not next on his list?
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
I think perhaps you do have a moral sense. Of sorts. You're not a very good liar, Nico Collard. And I share your low opinion of the police. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this.
Okay. So let's go back over this way. We'll stop by in the room with the stiff again, with Pierre. And see if we can't do anything more with that window. Now that we've got a few odds and ends in our pocket. What about the cloth on the window? Nope. It's a stretch, but how about some paint? Nah, okay. This room's a dead end for the moment. Let's go in there with this key.
With the drawing room key. Now we were getting somewhere.
Okay. So there's a chandelier, some painting on the wall, couch, light switch.
Even the light switch looked impressive. I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already.
Okay, what about that?
The painting showed the Cachons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie?
Okay, so...
The Cachons. Noblesse oblige.
what do we got here?
Aha! There was a small button hidden in the picture frame.
I hardly say it's hidden, it stands out like dog's nuts. Let's press it.
There was the very faintest of clicks.
Very faintest of clicks. Okay.
Behind the picture was a safe. The safe looked pretty secure.
Okay, we'll check out the safe in a moment. Let's check the desk across the way before we go tampering with that. What about this couch?
The sofa was antique. For one horrible moment, I had an image of a naked Cachon wriggling around on it with a young journalist. Oh, this wasn't the time for me to lie on this sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression. Though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why.
Okay, what do we got on the desk here?
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. The in tray, like everything else in this place, was beautiful. One day I was going to have an in tray like that, even if I had to sell my apartment to pay for it.
Okay, well I say that that's where our paint goes for lack of ink. Fantastic.
I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one. I'd ruined the tray, but I was on my way to solving a clue.
I just didn't know it yet. Let's check out
My
the
heart
elephant.
skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant, but not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Cachon had known my father. They really must have been friends.
Well, he doesn't need that anymore.
I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda.
Okay, what do we got here?
It was a sheet of blotting paper in a leather holder. Its cracked surface looked ancient, reminded me of its owner. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank.
Okay. Another door here.
It was a back door.
Can we open it?
Locked. Not surprising, really.
Yeah, I suppose not. Okay, let's go back to the painting and see what we dig up in there. More than likely something we can use the paint and the blotting paper with. Let's grab that key. I'll take a look at the elephant first, though.
It was the beautiful elephant my father had carved.
Yeah, we already got some details on that, so we'll grab the key and voila! Oh, hello.
There was a strange stone cylinder in the safe.
Well, I'm guessing that's what we're printing.
In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read. I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past carrying.
Well, we've already kind of gotten halfway there, Nico. Okay. So we'll take a look at that one more
The
again.
artifact was like an old printer's block, covered in symbols.
Okay, let's roll it through the ultramarine paint.
I rolled the artifact in the
Ooh,
paint
hello.
until it was completely coated. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank.
Okay, so I guess we're going to use that again. There we go.
Genius! The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say?
Let's take a look.
A secret message had been printed on the blotting paper.
SDSSDSS.
It was some kind of coded message. It read, subjudice. I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, subjudice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time.
Okay then, let's get the heck out of here. Actually, what do we got here? Just the story so far by looks. Hints and what have you. Let's come out here and see if there's anything else we can talk to her about. Before we depart.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend, something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No, but I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask,
Don't worry. You were never here.
subjudice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there. Carchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
And that's where we'll leave it for now. Join me next time and we'll see what Nico gets up to whilst tracking down the killer man. This has been a Jiggly-Gut. So, yeah. Not firing on all cylinders. Peace out. I'll see you next time.